And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter, Watson versus Watson, step forward.
Diane Watson is suing her ex-husband, Brian Watson, for half of his tax return. Brian claims she's not entitled to it.
Mrs. Watson, the defendant is your former husband. You are divorced. You have children, I believe 2?
Yes.
How old are your children?
My son will be 20 and my daughter is 18.
And you've been divorced since when?
March 21st.
2012.
This year, 2013.
2013. Now, your action in this case is to give you 1/2 of the refund on the tax return for the year 2012.
Yes, ma'am.
May I see a copy of the judgment of divorce, please? Both the children live with you?
Yes, they do, ma'am.
And you fully support both children?
100%. No child support.
No, I see there is no support obligation. How do you support yourself, Mrs. Watson?
Alimony. I am unemployed.
And how long have you been unemployed?
For 2 years. I was on disability and then workers' comp.
Well, what was the nature of your disability?
I have carpal tunnel and nerve damage.
From what?
Work. I used to work at Bass Pro Shops.
How long did you work there?
A couple weeks shy of 4 years.
And when you left that job, you went on disability?
Yes.
And how long did that last?
1 year.
And then you were found to be eligible to go back to work?
No, because
well, did you apply for Social Security disability?
I applied for unemployment. And then
Did you apply for Social Security disability?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it granted or denied?
Denied.
So your only source of income is income that your former husband pays you?
Yes.
Now, you had no income in 2012.
I had disability and unemployment, yes.
You did not work?
No, ma'am.
In 2012?
No, ma'am.
So why should he give you half of the refund?
Because we had a written agreement.
Was the written agreement in this judgment of divorce?
No, ma'am. He didn't want it.
Then that's too bad.
He didn't want it.
Then that's too bad. Now, let me tell you how I feel about that. Everything that happened in your lives prior to this document belongs in this document, and that includes the tax returns. Now, sometimes there's an equitable issue that courts consider. I would consider it if you were in fact employed in the year 2012, earning money, and your ex-husband said, I'm not giving you half the income tax return. I could understand that. There would be a moral issue, and I would say, well, you know, why didn't it? And I might want to stretch why it is that he said, the money is mine. I'm the one who works. I support the children. I support you. I supported you in 2012. I'm not asking you for any money. Why in the world would I give you half of the refund when you earned no money?
I worked until April of 2012. We had
well, that's just a second. That's not what you just told me. You just told me you worked from 2007 to 2011. Then you were on disability for 1 year. Then you applied for Social Security disability, and you were denied Social Security disability, which means that you weren't disabled so that you could work. You didn't work. I asked you, how do you support yourself now? And you said you support yourself from alimony. That's what you just told me. Those are the facts. I know you 5 minutes. Now you want to change those facts? I'm listening to your changing of the facts, but you told me 5 minutes ago you worked from 2007 to 2011. Now you want to tell me you worked in 2012?
April of 2000.
Show me. Show me that you worked in April 2012. Show me.
I worked until April of 2011 is when I lost my job at Bass Pro Shops.
So that you didn't work in 2012?
No, ma'am.
Well, that's what you just told me a moment ago.
My apologies.
Very good. If it doesn't say in here that you're entitled to half of the refund, it doesn't say it anywhere. It's certainly not going to say it here, based upon the facts that you told me. Anything else you want to tell me?
We had an original written agreement. My former husband did not want any of it put into the divorce.
Who cares? Who cares? He didn't want it? Get a lawyer. Get a lawyer and say, I want everything that I want in this agreement. You have children, you don't pay any support, you don't work. There's no reason that you don't work because you're not disabled. That, according to the federal government, you're not disabled. You can work. He takes care of the children. He's saying, you know what? Don't pay me any money for the children. Don't pay. I'll take care of them all by myself. And I worked in 2012. But he's not giving you $4,000. Not in this court. Not in any court. Goodbye.
These are excused. You may step out.
put me against the wall, saying that she was going to get an attorney and draw out our divorce even longer.
We had a written agreement, and he didn't want to stick to it.
If I didn't agree to sign something stating she was entitled to half my return.
Threatened to put a bill in my head and he can get away with it.
I took threats that took place after the fact of our divorce.
Enough said.
I felt coerced 100% through this whole thing.
Simple as that.
I just want to get on with my life and go forward.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Nieves versus Martinez step forward.
Serenity Nieves is suing her ex-boyfriend, Jose Martinez, for bail, a loan for child support, and the cost of a motorcycle.
Ms. Nieves, you claim two things. You claim that Mr. Martinez, who's your ex-boyfriend, owes you for a loan that you made to him for child support and bail money, and then a loan for a motorcycle.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez says that he doesn't know what you're talking about because he doesn't own a motorcycle, and he's never owned a motorcycle. He doesn't have a motorcycle. He says you actually have a motorcycle. There was a motorcycle. The motorcycle's in your name. So let's deal with the motorcycle first. When was the motorcycle purchased? In what year?
This year.
2013.
Yes, ma'am.
And where is the motorcycle now?
He has it with the title. The motorcycle is at his house.
Is the motorcycle at your house? What is that like?
There is no motorcycle. Not even in my house.
Huh?
There's not even a motorcycle in my house.
He has the motorcycle. He just has
In
it registered.
whose name is the motorcycle titled? You can get that through motor vehicles.
It was in the previous owner, which I had the title, then he took the title from
Just don't double talk me. Now, were you incarcerated for lack of child support?
Right.
When?
About a year ago.
How old is the child?
He's 10.
And how much did you owe?
At that time, it was about almost close to 10,000.
How much was your bail?
The first time it was 500.
Who bailed you out?
Serenity.
And the second time?
Serenity.
Speak up!
Serenity.
I'm deaf. You know, I'm old and I can't hear too well. When you speak clearly like this, I can't hear too well. When you're whispering because you don't want me to hear what you're saying, it makes it very hard. The second time, who bailed you out?
Serenity.
How much was the bail?
I think they went up 1,000.
And was all this bail forfeited for the purpose of child support? Did they keep the bail and give it to your 10-year-old?
Yeah, well, to his mother.
To his mother. So actually, she paid $1,500 for your child.
On her own behalf.
On her what?
Where her own, that was her own choice. That's what she wanted.
No, just listen to my whole statement.
Yes, correct.
She wasn't there when you made this child, right?
Correct.
She wasn't there when it was born.
Right.
Is this a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Boy, have your last name?
He did.
What do you mean he changed his last name?
His mother did.
His mother changed his last name.
Yeah.
Was the child adopted?
No.
She just chose to change his last name?
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
She didn't want my son to have my last name due to my background. She was too cocky about it. She said
Did she have your consent to do that?
After them 2 times that I got arrested, it was...
You consented?
Yeah.
You gave up your parental rights?
Correct.
Is that what happened? Okay. So after the second time you got arrested, you gave up your parental rights, and she was able to change the child's last name, and you no longer have any responsibility to support him.
Correct.
And she consented to absolving you of the responsibility of paying the arrears as well? Because you owed $10,000 and all she...
I still have that bill.
You still have that bill.
Yeah.
So you owe Miss Nieves $1,500. That I have to deal with because she's going to go find the motorcycle. I'm going to tell you, Martinez, I don't think that new girlfriends should pay child support for their boyfriends.
Yes. But,
which is exactly what happened, because they set bail, and when somebody posted the bail for you, they took that bail and they said, all right, now we're going to let you out. We're going to take this bail and send it off to the child's mother. And that, in effect, Miss Nieves paid your child support, which to me is unacceptable.
Yeah, and I didn't call her. I didn't say, can you pay my child support? Can you get me out of here? I never agreed on none of that.
Good. You should have stayed in jail.
Exactly.
Judgment to the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. Thank you.
I still would have been in jail.
That is our excuse.
He's the one that called me from jail and told me that if I could come bond him out and that he'll pay me back when he gets his taxes, but...
Because that's a whole story of a lie.
He doesn't work, he doesn't do nothing, he doesn't take care of his own child.
She paid was on her own behalf. Nobody forced her. Nobody say, you got to pay get me out of here. Nah.
He gives up his rights to his own child. What real man does that?
She chose that. You know, we was in a relationship, and she just wanted to have me around.
He's a lowlife that doesn't have nothing and will never be nothing.
Ask her that question about, you know, a pregnancy test that she took with her sister-in-law's urine.
He could say what he wants, but I know what's true and what's not true.
Trying to say she was pregnant with my name. I mean, you know, pregnant from me.
Like, I didn't do a pregnancy test. None of my sister-in-laws even had babies.
Because I don't want to deal with her.
I hope he just goes on with his life and...
Because she's a two-faced person.
...enjoys being a scumbag.
Ladies, have a seat, please.
Ms. Summage, the defendant and your mother lived together for about 8 years. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And they lived together in an apartment. The lease on the apartment was in your name and your mother's name, but you never lived there with them.
I did for a little while.
How short a while?
We stayed there for about 2 years. I lived there for about 1.5 years.
And then they lived there by themselves?
No, I moved out in like February
of what year?
2013. And then she went into the hospital in May.
Listen to me. Of the 8 years that your mother and Mr. Loggins lived together, how many years did you live with them?
Oh, 7.5.
And so you lived as a family?
I wouldn't call it a family.
How old are you?
18.
So you were a kid?
Yes.
That's why. And when you turned 18, you moved out?
Yes.
Okay. While you were living in the house with your mom and Mr. Loggins, they lived together as a couple. Mom passed away when?
July 19th.
While she was in the hospital and until Mr. Loggins vacated the apartment and you actually moved back into the apartment, correct?
Yes.
You paid rent for the apartment because Mr. Loggins refused to pay the rent.
Yes.
And that's really what you're suing him for.
Yes. That and damages and assault.
Okay. Now, when your mother lived there as a couple with Mr. Loggins, was Mr. Loggins employed?
Every now and then.
But the rent was paid by your mother?
Yes.
From her SSI?
Yes.
What was the nature of her disability?
I'm not really for sure.
What do you mean you don't know? What was wrong with her that she was collecting disability?
She had kidney and liver problems.
And while your mother was in the hospital, how many months' rent did you pay?
She paid the rent. She paid about 3 months' rent.
While she was in the hospital?
Yes.
Is that the money you are seeking to get back from him?
Yes.
Well, you're not going to get it back.
May I help her, Your Honor?
I don't want to hear from you.
Okay. Just to define. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
You have to understand something. This is your mother's choice. That's what you did. She collected disability. She paid the rent. That's what you said. That was the arrangement she had with him.
She was in the hospital.
Doesn't matter. That was her choice. She got disability. From the disability, she paid the rent on the apartment, which she had done for at least the 8 years that they were together, according to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not entitled to that rent.
She was on life support, Your Honor.
Listen to me. Follow what I'm saying. You may not like the answer, but that's the law. You have no right to that money. You didn't pay the rent.
After she died,
now you can go out. Now you can go out.
I'm sure you say you paid after.
That was your mother's choice. That was the working relationship that she had with her companion. She paid the rent. And I assume that the rent was continued to be paid, at least according to you, because you wanted, according to your complaint, in case your mother got better, you wanted her to have her apartment.
Yes.
Well, so paid the rent. And you paid the rent with her disability checks.
Yes.
So I paid her rent. And Bird paid her rent. Not you. We paid her rent. Now I'm going to hear about what damage you alleged that he caused to the apartment.
Okay. There was cupboard doors hanging off of the hinges. There was door handles taken off of the laundry rooms. The master bedroom was yellow from him smoking. There was...
Did you move back into the apartment?
Yes.
Are you living there now?
Yes.
This part is over. Now I'm going to hear about the assault.
After he moved out, he said that the washer was his, which was given to him.
Okay, so he moved out when?
August 17th or 18th.
So shortly after your mother died?
Yes.
He moved out, and he said to you, the washing machine belongs to me.
Yes.
And?
And when he came, my mom had got it given to her as a gift from my aunt.
You can't tell me that, because you don't know that.
So I stood in front of the washer door and refused to give it to him. So he attacked me and
How did he attack you?
He pushed me and was hitting me, and my hair was pulled.
Did you call the police?
Yes.
You have a police report?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
They blacked out all the names. They said that we needed a subpoena to have them on there.
Your Honor, that's not a police report. I have the same information that she has.
Just a second. Doesn't say anything here.
Exactly.
Shh.
They said that to get any more information or have the names on there that we needed a subpoena from a lawyer.
This doesn't say anything. Doesn't say anything. Unless I'm missing it. Did you read it?
Well, it says domestic violence call. That's they wouldn't give us anything else.
Okay. Did you seek medical assistance?
No.
Okay. Now, you have a counterclaim for the washing machine.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How long had the washing machine been in the house?
Probably about a year or so. We were only in an apartment for about 2 years. So
in that apartment?
In that apartment, yes, correct.
Was there anything else in the apartment that you claimed belonged to you other than the washing machine?
Other than my stuff? No, ma'am.
Just the washing machine?
Just the washer. That's all I wanted.
Was there a dryer?
Yes, there was.
The dryer wasn't yours?
No, it wasn't.
Was there a kitchen table and chairs?
Yes.
That wasn't yours?
No, it wasn't.
That was left there, right?
Yes.
Was there a bedroom set?
Yes, that was mine.
Did you take it?
Yes, I did.
So you took the bedroom set?
Yes, I did.
When?
On the 18th, the day of the alleged assault. The cops came and he stood by because she claimed that I assaulted her when actually I was the one who was assaulted. I have my mother here as a witness. I have injuries to prove it as well. Her and her grandmother assaulted me. It's correct. She did stand in front of the door to the laundry facility. I tried to pull on the door, and when I pulled on the door, they both attacked me. My mother, who saw them attacking me, she came to my rescue because she didn't want to see me get assaulted by these two ladies.
Which two ladies?
Her grandmother's not here. Her grandmother was with her at the home that day.
Okay, but you took your bedroom set?
Yes, I did.
What else did you take from the apartment?
I took my bedroom set, my television, my PlayStation. I tried to take my dishes and stuff like that. The cops wouldn't let me take that. Basically, my clothes, stuff that we accumulated through the relationship that were clearly mine.
When did you purchase the bedroom set?
Actually, it was a gift from my mother. She purchased it around 2006.
And you knew that?
No. I knew the bedroom set was his, but I didn't know where he got it from.
But you knew it was his?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'd like to hear your story, Mr. Loggins, about where you got the washing machine from.
Well, I got the washing machine set from...
Because you have a counterclaim.
Yes, I do have a counterclaim for the washer, yes. I got the washer itself from friends. There was mutual friends of ours named, I won't give their names, but...
Just a second. So the washing machine was given to you and your girlfriend?
No, from my understanding
I don't care what your understanding is. It was given to you by mutual friends.
Yes.
That is mutual friends of you.
Yeah, for helping them move. So it was like payment for work.
Did you declare it on your taxes?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Okay. Mr. Loggins, how many years did you live rent-free in that apartment?
I wouldn't call it rent-free.
I would.
No, because I paid bills. I paid bills there. I paid the cable bill, which was more than rent.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Summage says her late mother's boyfriend, Cairo Loggins, owes for bills, damage to the home, and an assault. Cairo is countersuing for the cancellation of a cell phone policy and the return of a washing machine.
I want you to forget the washing machine.
Okay.
I'm telling her to forget her rent. There are other ways to deal with the pain of loss when somebody dies other than to litigate out of anger. Your mother, at least for a period in her life, was satisfied and happy with Mr. Loggins. She was happier with him than without him. That was her choice. May not have been your choice. That was her choice. How she chose to assist him in supporting himself was her business. Why you're angry with him? I don't know. And actually, if he had come to the house and said, listen, all I want is my bedroom set and my PlayStation and my washing machine, I would have said, you want to know something? Take it. You lived here with my mother. I was a kid. I don't actually know how it all came about. If you say it's yours. But I wouldn't go so far as to say that I think that fighting over a washing machine is appropriate behavior for two adults who are in a period of grieving and loss. So I'm certain, Mr. Loggins, that your life will move forward without the washing machine.
Yes, ma'am,
It's going to have to move forward without the washing machine. And he, Miss Summage, doesn't owe you any money because you didn't pay any rent on the apartment.
I had to pay for the damages to the apartment.
And I don't know whether he caused them or your mother did.
No, they caused them.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Please excuse, you may step out.
Judge Judy hit it right on the head. Her mother got Social Security. Her mother paid the rent.
I don't agree with it at all. I believe he owes every single penny.
Me and her mother had an agreement that I paid certain bills, and her mother paid the rent.
That was paid for while he was in the house by himself.
Her sister, her boyfriend, her mom, everybody moved in the day my girlfriend died.
For damages and all.
But you want me to pay for damages that you caused? Nah, I don't think so.
Never talk to him again. That's it.
Well, hopefully I'm gonna go home and, just pick up my life, pick up the pieces where I left off and keep on moving.
Mr. Hatini, you and Mr. Chung were both working out at the same gym. On what date, sir?
On May 10th, 2013.
Were you a regular member of that gym?
Yes, I am.
And are you a regular member of
Yes,
that
I
gym?
am.
Had you ever seen each other working out previous to May 10th?
Yes, we have.
Yes, we have.
On that date, Mr. Hatini, it is your claim that Mr. Chung, who was playing with barbells, dropped the barbells, and the barbells injured you.
Yes.
Mr. Chung, I read his answer, and his defense is out of the way. If I'm reading it right.
Yes.
Okay, good. So, Mr. Chung, I'm going to ask you to go over there, so step away from the bench. I'd like you to show me how you were doing your barbells.
I have the barbell on my back,
How heavy?
210 pounds.
Now, when you have those barbells on your back at 210 pounds, do you sometimes use something that, I don't know, what do they call it, a spotter? Are you impressed?
I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
I don't.
A little information sometimes can cause you a lot of trouble, because I hope nobody asks the next question. You don't use a spotter.
I don't because...
Just to say, don't tell me because. I would like Officer Byrd to tell me what a spotter is.
That's the person who makes sure that you're safe while you're lifting.
And you can do those exercises sometimes with a machine, right?
It's a different exercise, though.
This is your own exercise. So you don't use...
No, it's a very common exercise.
Yes. Where you...
Do a squat.
A squat.
With the barbell on your back.
Without anybody watching and observing you.
Because it's on a weightlifting platform where weights are allowed and designed to be dropped if something happens.
Okay. Now you can go back. Let's retrace it a little bit. So you're doing squats with 210 pounds.
Right.
And evidently, either you lost your grip or it was too heavy.
I lost my balance.
You lost
it's
your
a weight.
Shh. Lost your balance.
Yes.
And when you lost your balance, what happened?
I dropped the weight.
And when you dropped the weight, what happened, Mr. Hatini?
I was working on this leg press machine, Your Honor, and unloading the plates onto here.
Just a second. Just tell me, and then I'll look at the pictures. Don't pick up the phone.
Okay.
When I started, nobody was behind me.
Listen to me, sir.
Sorry.
I asked you questions. I understand. You were doing your squats with 210 pounds. You lost your balance. You don't work with a spotter. You dropped the barbell, 210 pounds. He's going to tell me what happened to him.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, I want to make it clear. He's claiming that you can drop the weights on this platform. Yes, you can drop the weight on the platform within this square, not off of it by 3 feet.
Just tell me what happened to you.
So I was unloading the weights off of the leg press machine, and I didn't see anything. I just felt a massive force crushing my calf against the plates on that leg press machine, and I felt my leg as if it got amputated. I was under excruciating amount of pain.
Okay, so he dropped the barbell, and it
rolled,
and it stopped on your calf.
Yes.
That's what happened. Okay.
Can I point something out?
No. No. I mean, there are certain things that he's going to have to prove to me. He's going to have to prove to me that he was injured. There's no question if he was injured that it's your fault. You choose not to use a spotter. You choose to do that exercise. You have to guarantee if you choose not to take certain precautions.
Well, he did sign a waiver that alerts you to the fact that there's constant danger in working out in a gym. Having your back behind someone doing a squat on a weightlifting platform is not being aware of being in constant danger in a gym.
What I'm telling you, sir, is you have to be alert to the potential dangers, because if you were using the equipment...
When I started...
Listen to me. If you use the equipment properly, and if you were properly trained, then you wouldn't have lost your balance.
Right, but
then you wouldn't have lost your balance. Then you would not have dropped the barbell.
Stuff happens in a gym. There was something I'd done before.
Stuff happens when you drive a car.
Exactly.
Stuff
but you don't
happens
sign a waiver when you drive a car.
Are you trying to talk over me?
Don't
try to talk over me.
Your Honor.
You do, in fact, implicitly sign a waiver when you get into your car and you're driving on a parkway with other vehicles Implicit in that, when you get on, is that you're going to exercise caution. Sometimes accidents happen. That's why they're called accidents and not on purposes. There's no question that you did not drop the barbell on purpose.
Right.
It was an accident. Your accident. Because either you used too much weight or because your legs weren't strong enough to hold on to the weights. A little bird didn't come into the gym and cause you to lose your balance. You lost your balance because of you.
May I make a point?
Sure.
This is an area where weights are designed and allowed to be dropped. It's not like he was in an area where you're not supposed to be dropping weights.
No, just a second. They're designed to be dropped in a certain way, sir. They're designed to be dropped when you are finished doing your squat. I see sumo people do that all the time. They pick up somebody and they drop it on the ground. But they drop it in a controlled way so that they're controlling it. What you say happened was you lost your balance and you actually dropped the weight in a non-controlled way.
Actually, on a weightlifting
platform. Just a second. Okay. I'm not talking to you anymore. I have other things to do today. I'm telling you that if he was injured, you're responsible for his injury. Now, after the weight went into your calf, were you taken to an emergency room?
Yes, the ambulance.
I'd like to see the report.
Yes, ma'am. Here's the emergency room report. Here's a statement from the gym, the entire accident.
Just a second.
Okay.
I don't read statements from the gym. Is that what you have?
The accident got caught on camera, and they wrote a statement with an
accident
report.
No, I don't take... Listen to me. If the accident is caught on camera, bring me the tape. Don't bring me somebody else's interpretation of what they're reading on a tape. I can't read that. Okay. Then they're taking on the role of the judge. If they're describing what they saw on a tape, they're taking my eyes away from me. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Okay. So your leg wasn't broken. You were in terrible pain.
Yes.
And it cost you $45. Did you have any other follow-up medical treatment?
I do. The bills are here.
I'd like to see it.
Yes. And it also cost me about $1,000 of my wages. There's a statement from my...
I don't read statements from anybody.
Thank you.
Except the police department, because they're business records.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out how much your medical bills were. You have insurance. The carrier paid $148.
Yes.
And then a carrier adjustment, and your balance was $35 on that whole bill.
The next page, Your Honor, you'll see the hospital bill. It's $1,600. And you will see the ambulance bill. It's almost $1,000. I have the bruise on my calf till this day, Your Honor. If you give me the permission, I'll be glad to show
Absolutely.
it. My calf is dented, and I have a bruise right over here, and it's numb to the touch.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Khaled Hatini says fellow gym member Yue Chung injured him when he dropped his weights during an exercise.
Listen to me, sir. There is something to what Mr. Chung says, that when you work out in a gym, there is always the possibility of injuring yourself. I know that. My husband works out in a gym regularly and has hurt himself in a gym on more than one occasion, either because of himself. I don't ever think it happened as a result of somebody else, although maybe on one occasion it did. But there is a certain risk when you're working out with heavy weights, etc. But I do not think that you assume the risk when you go to the gym of somebody losing their balance, dropping weights, and those weights falling on you. Now, there's no question that Mr. Chung did not do that on purpose. It was an accident, and that you should be made whole. And your being made whole is $2,700 because that's what your medical bills were.
Yes.
I don't see any reason that you've ascribed to Mr. Chung for being reckless and for having any reckless disregard for your safety. I think he was working out in a gym, he lost his balance, and the barbell hit you. And I certainly think that you should not suffer for any out-of-pocket expense as a result of that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,700. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was hurt. That's undeniable.
He's being now really nice in front of the camera. But here's his reaction to me when I came and approached him the first time. You're still standing. Why should I pay you?
I think he basically walked into an area where it says watch out for falling objects, and he wasn't watching out for himself.
You can drop the weights on the platform, not off of it by 3 feet.
He's been there almost every day from what I understand, beginning the day after the accident.
I couldn't walk for 2 days. I came back 2 days later limping to the gym.
Working out, using both legs?
I went back to the gym to train my upper body. I did not train my calf till 8 weeks later.
When I'm in the gym, I just do my business. I don't pay attention to anybody else.
He is responsible for every second and moment of pain that I had to endure.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Messier versus Shaw Step forward.
22-year-old Kaylin Messier is suing her former friend, 25-year-old Molly Shaw, for the cost of bail after she was arrested for possession of methamphetamines.
Miss Shaw, how many times have you been incarcerated?
Probably 4 times.
For what?
I got in trouble for a few traffic tickets I hadn't taken care of.
Traffic?
A few of them, yeah, were traffic. One of them was possession. That got dismissed because
Possession of?
Methamphetamine. It was in somebody else's bag in my car.
Traffic tickets, drugs, what else?
Just traffic tickets and drugs.
When was the last time you were incarcerated?
I had traffic tickets.
And prior to that, when were you incarcerated?
That was for...
August. What
Yes.
was that for?
That was for the possession.
Prior to that, when were you incarcerated?
I believe a year prior to that was in Vegas for traffic.
When you say traffic, do you mean driving while under the influence
No,
of
it's
alcohol?
tickets that weren't taken care of that I hadn't paid and then I let go. So it's
You mean in many
negligence on my part.
states? Yeah, I don't believe that. How many days were you in jail in Vegas?
I was bailed out. It was only like a $100 bail for traffic.
And before that? So far we have 3.
And then again in Vegas for traffic.
Vegas for traffic?
Yes.
Well, you don't learn. You're a slow learner, if you can learn at all. Plaintiff is a friend of yours. She says she bailed you out of jail at your request. She wants her money.
Oh, yeah. So...
I didn't ask you a question. Just say yes, not a so.
Yes.
You want your money?
Yes.
Right. How much was her bail?
It was $1,015.
Did she pay you back any of it?
Yes.
How much?
$200.
When?
She paid me the first time, the day I bailed her out of jail.
She gave you how much?
$100.
Okay.
And then towards the end of November.
And where were you when she gave you the other $100?
At my house.
That's an equivocal. Do you remember where you were?
It was either my house or my mom's house.
Because she was a friend of yours for a long time.
Yeah.
What happened after November?
She was dating a guy who I didn't approve of. And so we weren't really talking at the time, and things got brushed under the table every time I'd like bring it up. Like, oh, you know, like, can you pay me now? Or just like money here and there. You know,
What do you mean money here and there?
Like, just so she didn't have to pay me, like, in one lump sum.
So how much more did she give you?
That was it.
Now, the first day, she says you gave her $100. That's the day she bailed you out.
Correct.
And then gave you another $100, either at her house or her mother's house.
Correct.
That leaves $815.
Correct.
And?
And I had every intention of paying her. I didn't currently get employed until January, or actually February of this year.
So you acknowledge the debt?
So I do acknowledge that.
Good.
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $815. That's it.
Pardon our excuse, you may step out.
Well, I'm excited, but I'm in shock that it was that simple when it could have been done almost a year ago. If that's what she says, then that's what she says. I'm totally happy. I get my money, so that's all I can really ask for.
She was upset with who I was dating at the time, and, you know, we stopped talking, so her first resort was, let's sue her since I'm mad.
I bailed her out of jail, and the next day, you know, like, we had talked, and I sat her down, and she said, you know, this is never going to happen again, and I promise to change, and I was like, okay, cool, like, I'm trusting you.
She has money, she pays for things, and then she gets to kind of make the decisions about everybody else's life. So it's the price you pay for having a rich friend.
I love her, I truly do. But there's only so much I can do before I'm putting myself in a horrible situation as well.
We're girls, so we're going to say we're probably not going to be friends. We'll probably be cool in a few weeks, and then this will happen again, so we'll see.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kindred versus Ruth McCarter. Step forward.
21-year-old Carolyn Kindred is suing her former roommates, Jessica Ruth and Kayla McCarter, for the return of her security deposit. The defendants claim she doesn't deserve to get it back.
The three of you decided to live together, found an apartment. You two were friends?
Yes.
You decided that the two of you would sign the lease, that the plaintiff would not.
Correct.
So that she would not be entitled to live there, since she wasn't on the lease, but she could live there, and in the event that it didn't work out, she could leave. Was that the rationale?
Sort of. To an extent, yes.
Well, what other reason could there possibly be that her name wouldn't be on the lease?
Her credit was not approved.
Is that right?
No, it was actually under my father's name, and his credit was approved.
We actually have text messages here that show that hers was not approved. And
no,
that
she says hers was not approved. Her father's was.
Yeah.
And he was going to be her co-signer.
Yes.
I got it. How many bathrooms are in this apartment, by the way?
2.5.
Okay. She said the agreement was she was supposed to have her own bathroom. She came home one day, found somebody else was in the bathroom and used her stuff that was in the bathroom, creams and powders and lotions and potions. She got upset.
Your Honor.
Just a second. She got upset. Who used the bathroom?
I did.
Great. I don't care. It's really not terribly important to this case. There was a kerfuffle. She moved out. She moved out after a couple of days, correct?
I never spent the night.
Within days of moving your stuff in, you were gone. According to you, after 2 days, you brought your mother there to look at the apartment.
Yes.
And you found somebody to use the bathroom when you left.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she gave you $1,000, or she paid $1,050, according to her statement, and that was part of the security and part was her share of the first month's rent. Her request is for her security deposit back. The portion of that $1,050?
Yes.
That was her security deposit. How much was your share of the rent?
I believe...
Not you believe. How much was her share of the rent every month?
I believe we said 600. This was in person. We agreed on this. I believe we said 633, if I'm correct.
How much was the entire rent on the apartment?
5 plus utilities.
But it wasn't divided by 3 because Kayla and I were going to pay a larger sum than Jessica because she claimed she did not want to pay more than $300 a month.
All I'm asking you is then you tell me, since you think that I was not prepared to rule in your favor, so you...
The number should be 687.
Your share of the rent was how much?
687.
687. And how much did you give the first month for rent and security?
$1,050.
$363 was the amount of security.
Mm-hmm.
So you want your security deposit back?
No, I wanted all of it back.
Well, you can't have all of it back. You can get your security back.
I understand, but I never even spent the night.
I don't care. Your stuff was there.
It was only the bathroom.
I don't care if you had a toothbrush there. And clearly you did, because what upset you was you said someone had used my stuff in the bathroom. That's from your statement.
I have left things at a friend's house before that I'm not on the lease, and I've never been charged to...
I don't care. This was your contract. You gave me the terms of the contract. Your share of the rent was $687 a month.
Yes.
Not stated to friends. Your share of the rent was $687. That's what you told me.
Yes.
I believe you. What I'm telling you is you're entitled to your security deposit back because they either have to get another roommate or absorb it themselves, and the other roommate will pay for the security deposit. But if you had property there, it's the same thing as your being there,
Yes.
whether you sleep there or not. Now, do you understand?
I do
said
understand.
It. Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $363, which is her security. Bye-bye.
Parties are excused. We'll step out.
The agreement was that I would have my own bathroom and they were going to have their own separate places.
She called us while we were at a concert and said we violated her privacy.
Yes, I violated so badly I left my shampoo in the shower.
I went to show my mom the apartment and it was trash and I felt violated and I was so embarrassed that someone had used my things and, you know, without my permission. It was honestly disgusting.
I had told her that I never meant to make her feel that way. I've had several roommates before. I'm in my mid-20s now. I know how the roommate thing works.
I never lived in the place. I've never paid that much money to throw my things in a bathroom, so I guess there's a first for everything.
I just hope she's happy and she got her deposit back, and I just hope she is good with everything.
They're doing their own thing. I'm doing mine.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Young versus King step forward.
Alicia Young is suing her ex-boyfriend, Ramon King, for a loan to fix his car. Ramon says he never asked for the money.
Miss Young, you met the defendant online?
Yes.
And after a relatively short period of time, he, according to you, needed some money. He needed some money to have his car fixed.
Yes.
And you took out a loan.
Yes.
To have his car fixed, gave him the money yourself.
I took out the loan and then I paid the mechanic and whatever parts needed to be.
Was he with you?
Yes.
So you went together?
Yes, I believe we were together.
How much after you met did he tell you he needed this money?
It was a few weeks.
Do you remember the day and month that you took out this loan?
Yeah, we met in August.
When did you take out the loan?
I took out the loan on September 19th. Yes, September 19th, 2013.
How much was the loan for?
$1,400.
Now, did Mr. King pay you back at all?
Yes, he paid me one installment of $100.
When?
November.
And then?
And then after that, I would, continue to ask him, hey, I need the money because I have to pay the bank. And he would just say, he doesn't have it right now. When he has it, he'll give it to me. And I explained to him, well, the bank doesn't care if you do or don't have it. It's going to come out of my account, and I'm not going to let my good name go down. So I continued to pay it.
What do you do for a living, Miss Young?
I'm a life skills instructor. I work with developmentally disabled adults.
What's your annual salary about?
Less than 12.
And is this your sole
yes.
means of support?
Yes.
And what do you do, Mr. King?
I work construction, ma'am.
You work full-time?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
How much do you earn?
I make $12.50 an hour, just being honest.
And you live on your own?
No, actually, I'm living with my parents.
With your parents?
Yeah.
Well, if you work construction, make $12.50 an hour, why didn't you have money to pay for your own car?
Well, first of all, I never asked her to do that.
That's not my question. I want you to answer my question. My question to you is, if you work and make $12.50 an hour and live at home with your parents, why didn't you pay to have your own car fixed?
I mean, honestly, I could have, I pay rent to my parents and everything. But
I don't care. Why didn't you pay for your own car to be fixed?
I had just pulled my car out of another shop, ma'am, before this situation transpired.
Before what situation?
Before the whole situation with Alicia.
This is not a situation. Your car needed to be fixed.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you pay to fix it?
Honestly, I didn't have the money at the time. I had just pulled my car out the shop.
Listen to me. Neither did she. She had to take out a loan. So she didn't have the money either. Mr. King, what did you bring that box here for?
Because it's actually a recording.
It's a recording of what?
Of her voicemail after the fact that she filed a lawsuit against me.
And she said what on this voicemail that I'm going to hear?
She was just telling me, how she was feeling that particular day, and she told me that she loved me.
Who cares? She's suing you.
Yeah.
She wants the money. She makes $12,000 a year. Who do you live with?
Myself, my 10-year-old daughter.
She's a single mother. She doesn't live with her mommy and daddy like you do. Pay for your own car. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
How much do you owe her for your car? Is not an answer.
I owe her $1,300.
Is that what he owes you?
Yeah.
Pay her. Don't be a baby. That's not funny. It's not even attractive.
No, it's not funny. It's
not funny. Not funny when you take advantage of people.
I
don't like it when you take advantage of people.
I never tried to take advantage of her.
You did.
I never asked her to do it for me.
Listen to
period.
me. Did you know she took out a bank loan?
Yes, I did.
That's taking advantage. She has a child that she supports from her work.
She did.
You live with your mommy and daddy. You're a big grown-up boy who lives with mommy and daddy and has a big box. Instead of having a big box, have some responsibility. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Work harder. Goodbye. Go. Now.
Party's like, excuse me, they step out.
It is what it is, and it's God's will, and that's what happened. I tried to settle it outside the courtroom, but Mr. King wasn't really cooperating very well.
She told me that there was things about her that if I knew, I would run.
Just because of the relationship we had, and if I wouldn't have taken out the loan, I wonder what it could have been.
She had some psychological issues that she didn't want me to know off top, and once I did find out, then I did back off.
I'm just too nice, and I have to be smart about what I do and look out for me and my own.
I never try to take advantage of that girl, period.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Francois versus Kaiser. Step forward.
23-year-old Evelyn Francois is suing her former lover, Daryl Kaiser, for an unpaid loan to repair his car and harassment.
Miss Francois, this used to be your boyfriend. According to what I read in your paper, you met him, you fell for him instantaneously. Within a few days, you had the key to his apartment. Within a few months, you say you were pregnant. Then things didn't go well, and you moved out of his apartment, and you immediately found another boyfriend. This is while you thought you were pregnant, right?
No, I never lived with him. I just had a key to
You had a key to his apartment, but then you found out you were pregnant. According to you, things didn't go well. You left him, but soon found another boyfriend.
Yes.
But during that time, you thought you were pregnant.
I knew I was.
With his child.
Yeah.
You found another boyfriend. You're not pregnant anymore, right?
Unfortunately, no.
And then he came crawling back to you because he realized he made a terrible mistake. But when he crawled back to you, you weren't interested. But he needed $525 to fix his transmission, which you gave him, which is why we're here.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Kaiser says you did give him money for his transmission, right?
Yes.
But he said there wasn't a loan. You weren't supposed to pay it back for that. He needed the money. You had the money. He took the money. He fixed his transmission. And pretty much he says you're a nut, right?
Yes.
Why would you take money from a nut? Why would you take money from a nut?
She was willing to give it.
Is that your answer?
That's the truth.
I love the truth. The So tell me about it. Now, you weren't together. You're not boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. You know she's a nut. You didn't believe she was pregnant. That's what you wrote here.
Can I make a correction?
Yeah.
I was never her man. I mean, we was never together. Up until this point, she didn't even know my name. She thought my name was Chance. So we was never together.
You were never, don't speak to him. You were never together?
No, Your Honor.
Well, you had to be together a little bit.
No, it was never gay. It was strictly sexual.
It was strictly sexual?
Strictly sexual.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you, but you had to be together a little bit.
No. We were together on that part as far as sexual, but as far as her boyfriend and everything, she's trying to make it seem like we was all booed up and all. We wasn't booed up or nothing like that.
Mr. Kaiser, do you want this lady out of your life?
Yes.
Because you think she's a nut.
Definitely.
And you know that when you have somebody who's nutty, if they have any connection to you at all, it's like glue. You know, it's like a glue trap. You want to stick with it. Is your car running now?
Yes, it's running.
Are you working?
Yes, I'm working.
Why don't you pay her back the $525 and then she'll be happy and leave you alone? Wouldn't you like that?
That's if it was a loan. It was never a
No,
loan.
no. Whether she threw it up in the air and say, if you catch it, it's yours. I don't care under what circumstances. Wouldn't it be a smart man who would say, I have the car, you're a nut. I don't want to have any connection to you. So I'm going to give you back the money that you gave me. And then we have no connection anymore. Wouldn't a smart man do that?
Maybe.
What would a stupid man do?
I can't say what a stupid man would do.
Well, you're either smart or you're stupid. Which one are you?
I'm pretty smart.
Well, then what would a smart man do if they wanted to get rid of a nut?
Probably would do what you said, but I didn't know she was a nut until afterward.
But now, just to say, but now you know.
But now it's too late.
No, it's not too late. It's not too late. You're either smart or you're stupid. There's nothing in between. Smart or stupid. And you say you wouldn't know what a stupid man would do, I assume, because you think you're not stupid.
Correct.
So I'm going to ask you one more time. What would a smart man do if they were connected to a nut from whom they took, I don't care what the circumstances were, $500? And if they could buy their peace of mind for $500, and if they were working, and if they were actually enjoying the benefits of the $500, because it's not like, you know, she gave you money and you both went out to eat together, so you both enjoyed it. You know, you both went to the theater, you both went on a vacation, you both went to a movie. We're not talking about that. We're talking about fixing your car that you're driving, usually with other girls in the car. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, I understand.
So we're going to get back to, you're either a smart man or a stupid man. You've already eliminated a stupid man. I'm not so sure. The jury's still out on that, depending upon your answer. So, Mr. Kaiser, what does a smart man do who'd want to get rid of a nut?
Come on, Judge Judy.
Well, you did that. Now Judge Judy is asking you a question, and you're going to answer the question.
Smart man would have given her the money.
Would have given her her money.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to do. Judgment for the plaintiff. You're a free man.
Thank you.
$525. Don't bother him anymore. I'm not interested in your harassment. Do you understand?
Okay.
Perfect. Only my own.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Oh, he's at my job. He's at my house.
I just decided I wanted somebody else. And when I decided I wanted somebody else,
He's at my favorite burger place. Like, he's everywhere. He's stalking me.
next thing you know, police is at my door talking about harassment. I'm like, harassment?
I called the police, yeah.
But that's the things that a nut would do, so.
Tell me to get a restraining order.
I mean, I'm finna just stay far away from her man and just go on about my life.
Do I still have feelings for him? We'll always be friends.
Wish you all the best, man.
Ma'am, have a seat. You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Bruner, it is your claim that this young man right here, whose first name is?
Kenneth.
Caused an accident. He caused an accident while he was riding on his skateboard and you were on your bicycle. And if you go over to that chart, I would like you to show me, point with your finger, in which direction you were traveling.
I was traveling in this direction.
And in which direction was Kenneth traveling?
He was traveling in this direction.
And I gather from your papers and from this chart that you were both traveling in the same lane.
Correct.
You can step back now. According to you, a very expensive bike.
Yes.
And at some point, this young man, driving in opposite directions from you, as he passed you, he jumped off his skateboard, causing the skateboard to sort of flip, and you flipped over the skateboard. You were injured, according to you, and your bicycle severely damaged. Is that what happened?
Pretty much.
Is that what happened? I want you to tell me.
Well, he had actually come to a stop. We were not still traveling at that point.
Who was not traveling?
Kenneth was not traveling.
But his skateboard was traveling.
After he had kicked it in front of me.
Well, he had been on the skateboard.
He had been on the skateboard.
I want you to, because, you know, I have a vision, so what I want you to do is to tell me your interpretation of what happened, sir. Because, how old are you?
33.
33. And you're 11.
Yes, ma'am.
33, 11. Judgment, allegedly. Lack of judgment. Something actually one can visualize. 33-year-old man and an 11-year-old child. Now, tell me what you were doing on your bike before we get to my vision and yours. You ride in competition?
I do.
So you are not out for a casual stroll with Toto in the back of the bike on your way to see Oz. You were working that bike.
Correct.
About how fast were you going?
I was on Garden Drive at about 30 miles an hour.
And how many miles do you think Kenneth can go on a skateboard? For those of you who were trying to see what I was doing, I was sort of playing like I was on a skateboard.
Perhaps 12 miles an hour.
So about a third of the speed that you were going.
Correct.
And you're traveling very fast, and he's traveling not so fast in the same lane, coming towards each other, right? Now I understand. So you're competing 30 miles an hour. He's traveling. Where were you going?
To my house.
From where?
The Windsor Library.
Were you carrying anything?
I believe I had my backpack.
Okay. Now, Mr. Bruner, you can tell me what happened.
Okay. May I approach the board?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, as I'm coming this direction on Garden Drive, and I saw Kenneth coming at me, I slowed down.
You were coming at him.
Okay. He was actually in the wrong lane.
Let's say you were coming at him.
Okay. Okay, I was
Because
coming
he's
at...
11 and you're 33.
I was coming at Kenneth, who was traveling the wrong way on the wrong side of the road.
Right. Lack of judgment.
Correct. So I slowed down. I started slowing down at that point until I could judge where he was going. Kenneth stopped here on the corner.
He stopped where? Point exactly where he stopped.
Right here.
Stopped on the corner.
Yep, on the corner. I proceeded to turn right around him, and he used his foot to kick a skateboard back into the lane of traffic, which I struck.
Just a second.
Yes.
So he was traveling, and he made the turn first, correct? Is that what you're telling me?
No, he stopped on the sidewalk.
On the sidewalk. So now he's up on the sidewalk.
Well, right on the corner. Right. So
No,
right here.
Show me exactly where.
Exactly here. There's a curb cutout.
So he's not on the sidewalk.
He's on the gutter, which is the sidewalk and the street intersection. That's where he's stopped. So I would say it's the gutter, technically.
And?
And as I make my turn in the street, right through here, he kicked the skateboard back out in front of me. I had no way to evade the skateboard.
Is that what happened, Kenneth?
Not at all.
Want to go over there? Go ahead, show me.
Okay. So I was coming down here, and right when I started to get to the crosswalk, I saw Justin right about here, and I figured he would slow down, so I kept going, and right about here he started to turn. So since he was coming extremely fast, I jumped off my skateboard because I was really scared and I didn't want to be in a collision with him. So I tried.
You jumped off your skateboard?
Yes, ma'am. And I tried to get my skateboard to stop, but I couldn't get it, so it hit his bike and he crashed.
Okay. Now you can go back. Actually, Mr. Bruner, I believe him 100%. And I read these papers in my mind's eye. I said, it doesn't strike me that an 11-year-old kid would be malicious, which is what you're suggesting in that scenario that you just posed, by actually shoving his skateboard in front of you for some bizarre reason. Now, I can actually picture an 11-year-old panicked because a grown man is making a turn at 30 miles an hour in the same place as he is, and he got frightened, and he jumped off the skateboard, and the skateboard caused your bike to flip over and for you to get hurt. I actually could visualize that. But if you think that I believe that this young man took his skateboard and to be malicious, threw it under your bike, you are sadly mistaken. You are sadly mistaken, sir. You could stand there from today till tomorrow, and I'm telling you, you're 33 years old, and if you see a kid on a skateboard, stop your bike.
I'm not saying it was malicious.
Stop. Well, if it's not malicious, then you don't belong in court.
I'm just trying to recover what I lost.
That's too bad. That's too bad. Recover what you lost from yourself. Your responsibility. You're 33 years old. You see a child on a skateboard. Your responsibility is to be careful. It's your responsibility. When he's older, when he's 33, I will put him to the same test. But just because your bike was damaged and just because you got yourself hurt because you were traveling too fast and you were playing chicken with an 11-year-old and he got scared. You're not going to get paid for that, Mr. Bruner. Not in my America. Now, you have a counterclaim. Your counterclaim is actually sort of interesting, but I'm going to address it relatively briefly. Kenneth, what did Mr. Bruner say to you after this happened?
When he fell, I rushed.
Can you come up here so I can hear you? I'm having some difficulty.
When my skateboard had hit him, I rushed to make sure he was okay. And
what did you say to him? Did you say anything to him?
I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" And then
he said?
He started cussing and saying the F word to me multiple times. And yelling like, "Why did you do that? You damaged my stuff. What's your dad's number? I'm calling him. We're calling the police."
Okay. Did you attempt, Mr. Bruner, to press criminal charges against this young man? Is not an answer, sir. That's either a yes or a no.
Yes, I called the police.
That's not my question. My question is, did you attempt to press charges against him?
Yes. Oh, he caused an accident.
Well, that's in your mind he caused an accident, not in my mind.
The police actually agreed with me.
I don't care what the police agreed with, sir.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, 8-year-old Kenneth Allen damaged his bike while skateboarding on the wrong side of the road. Kenneth and his father are countersuing for false criminal charges.
Now, the police want to go to law school, then the police can make a judgment as to whether or not they believe a 33-year-old man has a responsibility to deflect a situation which may cause an accident by stopping his bike when he's around an 11-year-old child. And I don't care if you got your heart rate up to where you wanted it and that's what you wanted to do. Now, the police don't take that into consideration, sir. Police say he flipped off his skateboard because he got nervous. And after all, his skateboard did, in fact, cause damage to you and your property. That's true. I agree with that. That his skateboard caused damage to your bike and you. That doesn't mean it's his fault.
Okay.
You caused.
You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Lance, I'm going to start with you. Is Miss Poling still your sister-in-law?
Yes, ma'am.
She and your brother are still technically married, although separated?
No, it's my husband.
But your brother is not here?
No.
Your brother is the one who's married to her?
No. My husband is married to me. It's her brother. It's the plaintiff's brother.
Got it. Your brother has a son? Your husband has a... I don't know why I have this brother and... Start all over again. Your husband and his soon-to-be ex-wife. Why am I not following this story? I don't know what happened to me. Slowly, I'm coming around. Husband, where? Stand up. Maybe it'll help me. You see, when I get fixated on a case scenario that I'm reading here, it's very hard to get my head out of it. You have a child who had a cat.
That is correct.
And the cat got sick.
That's correct.
What did you do?
I took the cat to the emergency vet when I got home from work.
And?
The vet told us that the cat had a urinary block and the kidneys were failing, and the cat needed a procedure that night or the cat would not live.
And where was your husband?
My husband was at home.
And what did you do?
I asked the vet how much it was going to cost, and they gave me an estimate of over $1,100.
Does your husband work?
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes.
And so what did you do?
I did not have $1,100, so I asked the vet to give myself and Cameron, my son, some time. We started crying, because I was going to have to put the cat down because I did not have the money.
Okay. And?
My oldest son, Hunter, called me at the time, and he knew the cat was sick and asked what was going on with the cat.
Is this your oldest son?
That is correct. And he was actually with the plaintiff, Tammy, at the time that he called me.
Okay.
I told him that the cat had a urinary block, the kidneys were failing, and it was going to cost me $1,100 that night, or the cat was going to die.
And?
I told him I could not afford it, and at that time, Tammy overheard us talking on the phone.
Don't tell me what she overheard.
Okay.
What was the next thing that happened?
Tammy got on the phone.
And?
She told me she did not want Cameron to lose his cat and that she would pay for it. She said that's what plastic's for and that's what family is for.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a real estate agent.
And your husband?
He's a window washer.
And what does the plaintiff do?
She works, she's a manager, I believe, at a home improvement store.
She have family?
Yes, ma'am.
She have a husband?
She has a husband.
She have children?
No.
Does her husband work?
He's retired.
Go ahead.
She had suggested, she said she would pay for it, and I told her not to, that it was too much money. She told me that that's what family's for, and she wanted to pay for it. And so I gave the phone to the receptionist, and she wanted to pay for it with her credit card.
And that's how the money got spent for the vet?
That's part of the money, yes, ma'am.
And then there were additional monies when she went to pick up the cat, and then there was an additional amount of vet bill subsequent to that?
Correct.
Now, when did she start asking you for the return of this money?
She did not.
You mean the first time you ever heard about her asking you for the return of this money was when you got served with a summons?
Actually, no. She texted me at 12:30 on November 2nd.
Did anything happen prior to November 2nd?
Related to the cat?
Related to your relationship as a family?
Yes.
And what was that? Don't poke her.
Yes, ma'am.
We got into it.
About what?
She was coming over intoxicated, and my husband asked her to leave the house.
When was that?
That, I don't have the exact dates on that.
How much before November 2nd?
It was in August, right around August.
That's during the summer. So
That
between July and August and November 2nd, nothing happened?
Yes. We got into an argument.
When?
In August.
About?
My husband told her husband that she was having an affair with one of her coworkers and his best friend.
Why was that your business?
Basically, she was asking me to lie, and I didn't want to lie.
She was asking you to be a beard for her.
Yes.
How?
By saying, if my husband calls you, I was at your house tonight. I wasn't with your best friend.
And you said to her, I'm not going to do that.
Correct.
Well, that's the right thing to do. That doesn't mean necessarily another phone call, especially when your sister asks you to do something for you that's not right. You shouldn't do it. But I just don't quite understand why you would make the phone call.
Basically, they were calling us, harassing us, because my son had been in an accident.
Who was calling you?
They were.
Tammy and Dallas were calling.
Because my son was babysitting their mother, Dallas's mother, her husband's mother. And my son had left her house, got in an accident that night. And I was picking him up from the hospital. And they were trying to talk to him about the whole situation. He had a concussion. I said, let's just let everything settle for a day or two. You can talk to him all you want.
What do you mean he was babysitting for a mother?
He was house sitting for his elderly mom.
And he was doing that because she was incapacitated?
She could not be alone.
Did he leave her alone?
Yes.
Why did he leave her alone?
She said, and Dallas and Tammy said, that he could go out for a couple hours and leave her alone, but not for any extended length of time.
Did anybody give him permission to leave?
I didn't. Dallas did.
So, and what you're telling me is after the family problem, she started to ask you for the money.
No, she never really asked for the money till this whole thing blew up.
Well, it
and then
blew
she
up,
sued
right.
her.
And then November 2nd is when
Long
I got a
after the
text at
fact.
12:30 at night saying she wanted her money.
And when had she, in fact, laid out the money for the vet?
She paid the vet, it was April.
When the
April
cat
2nd.
got
April 2nd.
Right.
Why did you wait 7 months?
Your Honor, because I wanted to give them a chance to get the money to pay me back, and I didn't want to push it.
Asking them when they were going to start to pay you back wouldn't necessarily be pushing it after 7 months. A month, say, listen, I know you can't give me all this money together, but can you send me $50 a month because I'm paying this off on my credit card?
That's why I sent a text message. I believe she said November something, and a week went by, no word.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have the credit card on which you put this bill?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
Yes. I don't have the credit card on me. I have the credit card statement.
The statement.
Yes, ma'am. It's all highlighted with dates.
No, I just want to take a look at the statement.
Ladies, have a seat, please.
Well, every once in a while you get something brand new. And you know how energizing that is when you get something brand new? This is a brand new one for us, Bert. Mr. Rogers, you were doing somebody a favor, according to you, and taking down a tree. On which side were you taking the tree down?
It's on the opposite side of where I'm standing.
You go over and point to me which tree was coming down, Mr. Rogers.
This is the rotten tree.
That's the rotten tree?
Yes, sir.
Well, that would be the tree you wanted to take down.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in order to take down that tree, you strung some sort of a line across the road.
Yes, ma'am.
And you anchored that line to where?
I anchored it to my son's pickup around this tree.
Okay, so you anchored the dead tree around a good tree.
That's correct.
So you attached this line to the dead tree, strung it around a live tree. The blue car is your son's pickup truck.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the idea was you're going to start up the son's pickup truck. The line becomes taut. The dead tree, which has no roots, I assume, or miserable roots, will come out easily without destroying the good tree. And while you were in the middle of doing this, Mr. Sleckton?
Sleckton, yes, Your Honor.
Was coming down the road in his truck.
Silverado truck, yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Sleckton says just as his truck was coming down the road, whoever was driving the pickup truck, was that you?
It's my son.
The son. Where is he?
He's not here, Your Honor.
That would be a good idea. Pulled the line taut and damaged his pickup truck. You're lucky you weren't riding in a convertible.
Your Honor, that's not exactly how it happened.
That's what he says. And he wants you to pay for the damage to the truck. Okay. So now, why don't you tell me your version of what happened?
Yes, ma'am. On the day in question, first of all, I cut most of the tree limbs down out of the tree, the larger tree limbs down, and cut them up so I wouldn't have to have the road blocked very long at all. And at that time, we strung the chain around the bumper, blocked traffic, stopped traffic in both directions.
Who blocked traffic?
My son and myself.
Well, your son didn't block traffic because your son is in the truck.
He's not in the truck at this time. We go out and we stop traffic, both directions. He goes one way down the street, I go down the other street. I put a cone out, he puts a traffic cone out to stop traffic.
Where is the cone? I don't see a cone in that picture.
I understand. This is a safety triangle, and it is making sure that that's probably where...
Where is the cone?
Right here and right here.
So you don't see the cone in that there?
That's correct.
Did you see any cones?
I did not, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Okay. Once we had the traffic stopped and the cones put out, we stretched it taut, and I began cutting the tree. This gentleman came around, stopped traffic, came around our cones, and into and up under the chain all the way up to his windshield, and stopped. At that time, we were all yelling at him to stop and everything. He continued.
Who's all?
My son.
Your son is in the truck.
Right. He sees him coming too.
Don't tell me what he saw. He's not here.
Okay.
Your son is in the truck. Who else is out there with you?
There's a gentleman, a serviceman, that's servicing a range or a refrigerator or something.
No, listen to me, sir.
Okay.
Who else is out there doing this project with you? Who are these two people here?
Those are my witnesses.
Do they live there?
Stephanie lives here in this house, and she had stepped across, and I have video of what transpired.
I would like to see the video, but I'm just asking you this question.
Yes, ma'am.
Aside from you and your son, who else was out there?
Outside? Or Stephanie and her daddy were inside the house looking out the window, looking out the door. Is that what you're asking?
That's not what I'm asking at all, Mr. Rogers. What I'm suggesting to you is, I have a home.
Yes, ma'am.
And periodically, the road leading to our home is the subject of some sort of event. The tree trimmers come over. Sometimes a tree has to come down. And there is always, on a traveled road, and you say this is a traveled road because traffic was stopped. That's what you say. Always a person with a sign that says, stop. lets certain cars go this way, lets certain cars go this way, or holds up the stop sign on both sides and say, nobody go because we have to do something for a short period of time. What it sounds to me like you did was go like this.
After we stopped traffic in both directions.
Let's understand each other. You stopped. Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2082, Smoody versus McDonald.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. and Mrs. Smoody, the defendant used to be married to your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
And according to what I've read, they were married for about 5 years?
Yes.
The thrust of your claim is that he owes for a couple of things, for rent and the balance of a truck. That's your lawsuit against him. I'd like to know, do you know the date of their marriage?
3/16/2011.
And your ex-wife's first name?
Jacqueline.
And when did you and your former wife separate?
In 2020.
And you had 2 children. How old are they now?
They are 5 and 8.
And who has custody of the children?
Dalton has physical, and they have joint custody.
Just a second. So he has custody of the 2 younger children?
Yes.
That's a yes. How long have you had custody of the 2 children?
Since July of last year.
At some point during the marriage, there was a truck purchased.
Yes.
Who purchased the truck?
Dalton purchased the truck. I co-signed for it.
And when was it purchased? Month and year?
June of 2017.
Was that the only car that they had?
Yes.
So that was a family car?
Yes.
And in 2017, was your daughter working?
Yes.
So both parents worked. And both parents, I assume, pooled their money and I assume made car payments.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Is that correct? Both. And then they separated in 2020, and at that time, the children came to live with you.
Correct.
And you took the truck.
Yes.
By agreement with your now ex-wife.
Yes.
In 2020, who made the car payments?
My husband did.
Is that correct?
Yes. I made all of the car payments on that vehicle. All of them, from the time it was purchased until we paid it off.
Okay, so what you're telling me is from 2017, you made all the car payments.
That's correct.
Did your daughter and son-in-law make any of those payments?
Not directly, but they paid toward the balance of the money that they were.
You paid for the truck.
That's correct.
Since 2000, me, sir.
Yeah.
I want you to be very careful with me. I read that, what we call in Yiddish, Bubbermeises in here, that you took money out of your daughter's check. Bubbermeises, it means grandma's tale. It means it's not true. It means it doesn't sound right to me. I read it in here. Don't try to repeat it here because that won't be good for you. Okay, I'm going to believe you if you show me copies of her checks that you made to her with withdrawals from money she owed you. That's all I want to see. Do you have that?
I do not.
Not, of course not. Now, he has the truck, and this was clearly either a gift or a marital debt. Either one of those 2 things. It's either a gift or a marital debt. It was a family car that was used by your daughter, her husband, the grandchildren, with, according to you, no reimbursement, according to you, except this ridiculous reimbursement from your daughter's check, which I don't believe, so I'm not even going into it, with no reimbursement 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. And when your daughter and the defendant separated in 2020, according to him and according to you, he took the truck and the children. And that was with her consent or not?
Yes, it was.
With her consent. Is that so far right? That's what you're telling me.
It's accurate.
Right. Did you intervene in the divorce proceeding and say that there is money owed, marital debt owed, and part of the marital debt is this loan on the truck?
No.
No. The answer is no, you did not. It would also be fair to say that you don't know how much, according to you, she paid for the truck.
I do, Your Honor. I have that ledger that I have. I would go to her each week and say, Jacqueline, how much can I take toward the loan? And that's how much I would take off each week.
All you have is a debt that's still outstanding, whatever it is, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. You didn't do that. Now, the only thing that you can say to me with regard to this truck business is if you had, had an agreement with the defendant in 2017 to pay the truck. And be very careful, because what you've told me is he didn't make any payments to you from 2017 ever.
He made some payments.
Just a second. Interesting. Show me where he made payments. Did you give him a receipt for payments?
No, this is a small town, and
It's not a small town, it's
Well,
a family, sir. It's not a small...
I do have the ledger.
I'm not interested in a ledger you created. It's self-serving and therefore inadmissible and created for the purpose solely of this litigation and not created at the same time that the event took place. I might even cut you a little slack if you had a ledger, a book with entries in it at different times from 2017 in different ink, with a day, how much was paid back, how much was paid back on the loan. I guarantee you do not have that. You have a very nice piece of white paper that you created for me. Is that correct? That is correct.
That is accurate.
Okay, so I'm not interested in your ledger. That's not a ledger. That's a document prepared for the purposes of litigation. So I want you to tell me what conversation you had and when with Mr. McDonald about paying for the truck. They bought this boat from you.
Accurate.
And how much did you sell it to them for?
$2,500.
Herman and Tina Smoody claim their former son-in-law, Dalton McDonald, owes for unpaid loans.
Now, I want you to tell me what conversation you had and when with Mr. McDonald about paying for the truck.
That was from the very beginning because I was paying all their bills.
Just a sec. I don't care whether you were paying their bills. I understand you were paying all their bills because they came to live with you for a brief period of time because they were evicted for whatever reason. And that was sometime in 2016. That doesn't matter to me. I want to know your conversations with, where did it take place? Because you're not suing your daughter. You're suing him.
The conversation was when we rented the farm for them, which I know is not with the truck, but the landlord would not let them rent from him because they had terrible credit.
We'll get to the rent later. Stick with the truck. Don't talk to him when I'm asking him questions.
Well, the truck was the same thing. We put that on the ledger then, or on the running total, and they agreed. They both agreed that they were going to pay us off.
Okay.
He came over on Labor Day weekend, and I showed him the ledger, which he saw all the time.
No. Don't tell me what he saw. Don't tell me what he saw. If what you're saying is you showed him the ledger when he came over with the boys.
Yes.
And he was going back to Minnesota.
Right.
And he brought the boys to see you to say goodbye?
Correct.
Okay, so far, it's very nice. You have a reasonable relationship with him, and certainly your daughter was clearly overwhelmed because courts do not usually split up children, so they must have felt that the children's best interest would be served if they remained with their father. Clearly what happened, the father came over to you to let you say goodbye to the children, and when he came over to let you say goodbye to the children, let me understand what you're saying to me. What you said to him was, not thank you for taking over this responsibility. Your daughter had more children than she could take care of, physically or financially, right? Clearly.
Yes.
Clearly. So what you want me to believe that two nice people who took in their daughter with her two kids and a husband and bought a truck and made arrangements for them to have some place to live, that these two nice people, when he came over, because your daughter couldn't take care of her children, and he brought them to say goodbye, you said, it's very nice. I want you to take a look at this ledger and see how much money you owe me. That's what you're asking me to believe, right? I'm going to let you live with that fantasy that I believe that.
And so I said, Jerry, I promise I'm not going to screw you on this. I'm going to make those payments.
Make payments for what?
On the rent and on the truck.
Okay. Did you have that conversation with him?
No, I did not, Your Honor. The conversation was when I came up there the last time, Jerry was trying to sell his fishing boat, so I posted it on Facebook, and I sold it for him.
In what month and year?
That would have been September of 2020. After selling the boat, he gave me $1,200 for helping him.
How much did he sell the boat for?
It was $4,700.
So that was after you'd already moved?
Correct.
With the children?
Yep.
Okay. He helped you sell the boat for $4,700? Just answer my question.
No.
Did you give him $1,200?
No. He bought that boat from me a year prior to that. He had it.
So they bought this boat from you.
Accurate.
When?
That would have been in the spring of 2019.
And how much did you sell it to them for?
$2,500.
Did they pay you for it?
No, part of that was put on the ledger, And part of it was cash.
You know, I'm not buying your whole story. I'm not buying your whole story
sorry,
because what
Your Honor, I'm telling you the honest to God truth.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that I would have sold people who had no credit, who couldn't buy themselves a truck. So you had to co-sign for the only means of transportation that they had, who couldn't pay for their rent, who couldn't pay their bills because of their bad credit. I don't believe this whole scenario about selling them a leisure boat, a leisure boat for $2,500. It's mind-boggling that you would think that an intelligent person like me would accept that. Okay, forget the truck. You have the truck now.
Yes.
Okay. You haven't finished your story with me, so sold the boat, and he gave you $1,200.
Correct. I gave him the $1,200 back, which made us even on the truck payment, and he gave me the title. Tina signed it, and then I brought it back to Minnesota and put it in my name.
Okay. Who signed it?
Tina signed it.
My name was on it as well.
Your name?
Yes.
As joint owners with him?
Yep.
Co-signer.
Oh, interesting. In what month did Mrs. Smoody?
Yes.
Sign over the car to you?
The same day that I gave
the boat for him.
Okay.
And it was his boat that I sold for him.
Okay. You did not create this as a marital debt. It absolutely was a marital debt. So I'm dismissing that portion of your claim that deals with the truck. Now, let's deal with the rent. The rent that you're talking about was rent in what property?
The farmhouse that they rented.
From when to when?
2016, November 2020.
And over the years that they lived there as a couple.
Yes.
The rent was paid to a landlord.
Correct.
By you.
Yes.
Is that right?
Correct.
And they, your daughter and her husband, would give you cash, checks, or whatever to cover the rent.
Yep.
Yes.
And how much did they give you to cover the rent?
When we started out, rent was $800, and later on he raised it to $900. We never made it a set amount each week. They gave us what they could. And we've done this before in the past, and they've always paid us back.
Well, then you should have sued them and listed all of this as a marital debt in the process of their divorce. So it could all have been...
We're handling Jacqueline in another way.
You what?
We're handling Jacqueline alone.
I don't understand what that means.
Well, you're saying it was marital.
Just a second. Does that mean that you've already served your daughter with a summons?
Not yet, no.
Of course not. Of course not. And you did know when they were divorcing. Yeah. You did know when they were divorcing. I'm not buying anything of this lawsuit, most of which, at least the rent part, is totally stale. I'm just curious, Mr. and Mrs. Smoody. Somebody wants to answer this question for me. Mr. McDonald has custody of your two young grandsons, who I assume that you were close to because they lived with you in your house. And you seem like
live with us. The two boys came back to live with us.
From when to when?
December of 2021 until July of 2020.
Their father since?
Yes.
Okay, so the boys lived with you for 6-7 months.
Right.
Was that an acrimonious transfer? That's what you meant when you said any employer that has gone through all that paperwork and red tape, as I have, will do anything to avoid it. The anything is firing the employee.
And Tina Smoody are accusing their former son-in-law, Dalton McDonald, of refusing to pay back loans.
Was that an acrimonious transfer, or was it something that you both...
What happened there was he called my husband to see if
No, don't tell me what he said to your husband.
Okay,
I will tell you then. He called me in December and asked me if I would please take the two boys. I told him, I will take them, Dalton, if you start making regular payments.
Oh, well, we're out of the money business now, sir. What you're saying is from 2017, when the children were in his custody, your daughter may have been there, but they were in joint custody, and then he maintained custody of the children, and during the time he maintained custody of the children, there was no question whatsoever that he was not paying you back money. He did not make any payments to you. Occasional here and there, we don't keep records. All of a sudden, now you have the boys with you. And then in July, he comes back and he takes the boys back. All I asked you was whether that was an acrimonious, which is an unpleasant, or a harmonious transfer of the children. Mr. Smoody was in July.
In July, it was acrimonious because at that point, he'd gotten a restraining order against me.
Against you?
Against me while we had the children. Because I sent him a letter saying that I wanted payment, and he went and got a restraining order against me because they took that as a threat.
I'd like to see the letter, please, Kevin. And this is what needs to happen moving forward.
That's correct.
You need to mail me $200 on the 1st of every month and $200 on the 15th starting March. That's not what you say. You say, I will go to your boss and talk to them about garnishing your wages. Any employer that has gone through all the paperwork and red tape as I have will do anything to avoid it. So that's a threat. What you're saying is, I'm going to call your boss and tell him that I'm going to sue you, and then your boss is going to have to go through all the red tape of what it means to have a garnish on your salary. You have to go through accounting, and they have to deduct it. And no boss wants to do that, which is in effect say, so either you pay me or your boss is going to fire you. That's what you meant when you said, any employer that has gone through all that paperwork and red tape, as I have, will do anything to avoid it. The anything is firing the employee. The only thing that
you can legally fire somebody.
Just a second. Whether you can legally fire them or not, that's what you were threatening. That's what that said. So we got an order of protection against you.
Correct.
And?
Then I didn't fight it because I didn't anticipate having any conversations or contact with him.
When you wrote this letter,
yes,
you had the boys.
Yes.
Right. Not before.
No.
Not before. And he had had the boys for some time alone.
3 months.
He had had the boys for some time alone. Okay, let's go back to my original question, which was, when the boys went back to their father, was it acrimonious or harmonious?
It was not good.
Well, so tell me your version of what happened.
The reason it was acrimonious is because he knew very well that once we got him, we put him on a strict schedule. 8 o'clock, brush your teeth, 8:15, pajamas, 8:30, bed.
Where was your daughter living at this time?
With us.
Yeah. Just to say, if you're going to interrupt him because you want to get it out,
I'm sorry,
that's not going to be good for you.
She had a room at our house.
Just a second. So your daughter was living with you. So what you're telling me was, goodness, if your daughter is in the wind and not being responsible, sir. But that doesn't mean he has to shoulder all the burden. Right now, he's shouldering all the burden of supporting the 2 children, which I assume you're doing. They're living with you. And so are you working?
Yes, I am.
And he's working. Your daughter is not.
She's working 2 jobs.
She always had.
If she's working 2 jobs, why was she in a room?
She wasn't renting. She was living there free.
Okay. So now let's get back to this acrimonious transfer by the children back in July.
Dalton called me, or called the kids.
Okay, so he called the children.
After bedtime.
Okay.
Called my wife's phone 4 times. Ring, 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 ring. And she wouldn't answer because kids were in bed. And then he called my phone twice. The second time, I have an old flip phone. I flipped it. Walked in, because now I hear the boys are awake. I let them talk to the boys. And then I took the phone back, and I said some naughty things to him and hung it up.
What did you say naughty things to him for?
Because I was very angry at him. Can I use some swear words that I used when I told him?
No, I assume you used some terrible words.
Yeah,
but
I just told him, don't call me anymore.
Is there any reason that you discussed with your wife why she didn't answer the phone?
Because the boys were already in bed. He had done that before.
You already told me that you heard the boys, so you took the phone into his room.
After the phone calls, they woke up.
Is what you're telling me that the first time that he tried to talk to the boys, that you or your wife didn't answer the phone?
I think it probably happened once or twice prior, and then we told him, don't do it anymore.
Okay, fine.
And this time we were fed up.
Fine. So that's when he said, I'm coming to take the boys.
No.
Well, when did he say he was coming to take the boys?
Not until July. Jacqueline told us that Dalton was going to be taking the kids once they got out of school.
Okay, I'm going to take the pain out of this case, and I'm going to do it relatively quickly. I think, Mr. and Mrs. Smoody, that this lawsuit was very ill-advised. The defendant doesn't owe you any money. He doesn't owe you any money because if there was money owed, it was a marital debt, and it should have been taken up at the time of the divorce, listed as a marital debt, and then it could have been fixed by the circumstances roughly 5.5 years later, after this truck was purchased, that you chose to exercise any prerogatives with regard to a debt, except this letter, which threatens to go to his boss to get him fired if you don't stop making payments, and that was only after the 2 children came to live with you and were sort of overwhelmed. You have to understand, Mr. McDonald, who I think probably is trying, he's got the 2 boys. It got very complicated, but it's not a lawsuit, and I would make nice with him. He's got 2 children that you probably want to have some connection with, and this lawsuit certainly doesn't help that. Well, anyway, for all the reasons that I've stated, your lawsuit's dismissed. We're finished. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Court is adjourned.
He owes us that money. He admitted he owed us the money.
I think the judge was absolutely correct.
He promised he was going to pay us the money back.
I don't owe Jerry any money.
Kids are irresponsible, have no sense of honor, duty, respect, responsibility, nothing.
Really should be a family thing, and maybe one day it can go back to it.
This was a great case that explains why a lot of cases in civil court have a statute of limitations before you can bring a certain kind of case, because here it was hard for us to understand why they would not have requested that money back earlier. So when you ask for it now, years down the line where so much has happened, court's not so likely to feed into that because you don't know what the real motivation is behind it.
I agree. I think it's really foolish of them, especially since their ex-son-in-law has total custody of these 2 little boys, for them not to maintain reasonable relationship with him.
It was a good showing, though, that if you do give money to your daughter, son, and their significant other, and they do get divorced, you should follow that divorce proceeding. So if you do have a claim,
a legitimate debt
or claim, then
List it.
That's the place.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 2002, Kwan versus Lancaster.
Mr. Kwan, succinctly, your case involves an attack of a dog that was being walked by Miss Lancaster. She was a dog walker. She didn't own the dog.
Correct.
Dog got away from her, and according to you, attacked your dog, and you want to be compensated to the tune of $10,000.
Correct.
You were neither hospitalized, correct?
I was not
hospitalized. You were neither hospitalized, and your dog was not hospitalized.
Correct.
I assume that you have some medical evidence as a result of this incident to show me that you suffered from a dog bite.
Yes.
Okay. And the dog bite was from the dog that was being walked by Miss Lancaster.
Walked is, I'm not sure if I would use the term.
She's a dog walker.
Yes,
She's
but
a
it was
dog
off
walker.
leash.
She's not the owner of the dog.
Correct.
The incident happened at what date and time?
December 22nd, 2021 at approximately 1:30 p.m.
And you were walking your dog, which is what breed?
A 20-pound wiener dog mix.
And you were a dog walker. How long had you been in charge of walking this dog?
At that point, it was about a week.
What kind of dog was it?
I believe it was a boxer mix. Not 100% sure.
How old?
2, 3 years old, give or take.
Who are the owners of the dog?
The owners, I can't remember their name. One of Mike, but I don't remember their last names. But
you remember the owners' names?
Yes.
And it would be fair to say that you knew their names because you tried to sue them.
I contacted them, yes, but did not sue them.
And you contacted them because they're the owners of the dog and they have a house. Is not an answer.
Yes.
And a house usually has homeowners insurance.
Correct.
Correct? And after contacting them, and it's their dog, so they are ultimately responsible for their dog, you opted not to seek compensation for your alleged injuries and this attack, but to sue the dog walker.
Correct.
Just for my own information, Mr. Kwan, do you want to tell me why you did that?
Yeah. So per California strict liability law, anybody who takes physical ownership or...
So what you're saying is in the state of California, if you are walking a dog, and she says she was walking this dog for a week, how many times a day, every day?
2 times a day.
Twice a day. And she had this job for a week. That under all circumstances, she is responsible for any injury that the dog does. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
And what code is that?
I have a statute over here.
Just tell me the statute.
Per California dog bite law. I don't have the number, but I can bring it up to the,
Would you bring it up?
The court.
It's California Civil Code 3342.
Do you have it?
I could pull it up. I have my notes.
Could you pull it up for me? And I'll come back to you in a second, Sarah. I'm just curious about it. Okay, now let's tell me about the incident, sir.
Sure. So at the time that I described earlier, I was walking my 20-pound wiener dog mix while my mother walked my infant son, who was 3 months at the time, in a stroller.
Care.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that I don't care about him and I don't care about your mother, but they have nothing to do with this case.
Well, they do have something to do with this case because when we turned onto the block, I turned and I saw an off-leash dog roughly 3 times the size of mine, and I saw the defendant, Miss Lancaster. She gave no warning that the dog was off-leash, and at that point, I later learned that the dog...
Now, don't tell me, just tell me what happened, sir.
Okay.
You saw Miss Lancaster, and she was walking this dog off-leash.
Correct.
And?
She gave no indication?
No. Not that she gave me no indication. Okay. She was walking this dog off-leash.
Correct.
So you saw the dog off-leash.
Yes.
Okay.
And
about how far were you from her when you saw the dog off-leash?
Across the street, so roughly 40 feet.
Okay, and?
The dog charged.
At that point, the dog ran across the street and is in an aggressive stance barking at your dog.
Correct.
Hadn't touched your dog.
Correct.
Okay. What happened next?
It then diverted its attention towards my infant son in a stroller and my mother and started jumping on the stroller.
Did the dog, in fact, jump on the stroller?
Yes.
And?
And my response was to try to divert the attention.
What did you do? The dog jumped on the stroller.
Yes.
Didn't hurt your son, didn't hurt your mother.
Yes. So I got the attention of the dog again.
How did you do that?
By picking up my dog, who was on leash.
Well, that doesn't necessarily get attention of the dog. You say, hey!
Correct.
No.
Correct.
But you didn't say that. You just picked up your dog.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Probably exclaimed in
No.
attention of the dog.
You told me what you did. You picked up your dog and
started running across the street.
Started running across the street in the direction of where the dog had come from?
Correct.
And at that time, the dog was on the other side of the street.
Yes.
So let me understand this. You pick up your dog. Your mother is standing behind you in the stroller with your son. You leave your mother, your son, on one side of the street, and you grab your wiener dog mix and run across the street.
Correct. This was after I got the attention of the dog, by the way.
Okay. So now you got the attention of the dog.
Yes.
Ran across the street, so you were trying to divert the dog's attention, and the dog followed you.
Yes, it chased me.
Good. And you were running in her direction?
No. The Miss Lancaster had crossed the street at that point to where we were originally walking.
She was on your side of the street. You were going back to where you had initially seen her.
Correct.
Okay, so she had followed her dog across the street.
Yes.
Was she saying anything?
We made repeated pleas to ask for her to control the situation.
She ran across the street because all this happened within seconds.
Yes.
She ran across the street. Was she saying anything to the dog?
She was yelling, "I'm so sorry, and I can't do anything."
Okay, is that what you were yelling?
I think
across the street, when the dog chased me, I fell down. The dog ended up biting me on my left arm.
Okay, and I'd like to see whatever medical report you have from the bite on your left arm.
So the doctor said that.
No, don't tell me what the doctor said.
I haven't.
Could I see?
I have a picture.
May I see
Absolutely.
a medical? Did you understand my words? I said, may I see a medical report?
I do not have a medical report.
So you didn't go to the doctor. The question is, did you go to the doctor, Mr.
I did
Korn?
a virtual doctor's visit because this was during the height of the pandemic.
And what was the name of the doctor with whom you had a virtual visit?
I do not remember.
Should remember. You're suing for $10,000. You should have all that information. Because if you have a virtual medical visit, Mr. Kwan, there is a record of that. Doctor keeps a record of that. Do you understand?
Correct.
Okay. So now you're down, and this happened, according to you, on December 22nd. Did you get the dog's information?
I did.
On December 22nd?
Yes.
When did you speak to the owners of the dog?
I spoke to the owners actually that day because I wanted to get the rabies vaccination paperwork.
Did you get the rabies vaccination paperwork?
Yes.
On the 22nd?
Yes.
Now I'll see your photograph, sir.
I have that statute whenever you're ready.
I got it. Timing is everything. Okay, so the knee injury is when you fell.
Correct.
And the arm is a combination scratch and maybe tooth mark.
Yes, there are tooth marks on there, but not punctured.
Well, I don't know. This long thing is not a tooth mark. So just one other question, Mr. Kwan. When you told the owners about this on the 22nd, when was the next time you contacted them? First, you wanted to find out whether or not the dog had sue the owners of the dog, who are homeowners, and who have homeowners insurance.
Yep. I wrote the owners of the dog a demand letter, and that is when I contacted them back, probably about 2 months after the incident.
Okay, so you wrote them a demand letter.
Correct.
And did they respond to your demand letter?
Yes.
Do you have copies of those letters?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see copies of your letter and their response.
That's the demand letter that I
just want to see copies of your letter and their response. Are they both here?
They did. They responded by calling me on the phone, not with a formal written statement.
Really?
Derek Kwan claims dog walker Danielle Lancaster owes for injuries resulting from a dog attack.
Well, you say the dog's a pit bull. The dog was a pit bull?
I believe so.
Dog a pit bull?
I asked after the incident. I did ask as well if it was a pit bull. They said no, it's a boxer mix.
You have a video of the incident. You have a video. Somebody has a video.
Yeah.
Correct.
Someone's Ring camera.
Okay. I'm going to allow you to tell me what the owner said in the conversation that they had with you. I'm not accepting it for the truth of the statement, only that you had a conversation with them, which is why you brought this action against Miss Lancaster today.
Correct.
So they decided, we're not going to put this in writing. We're going to call Mr. Kwan.
Correct.
And what did they tell you?
They were very amicable about the situation, and we're trying to solve the situation to make me whole.
Being amicable is subjective. I want you to tell me what you said to them and what they said to you.
What they said to me was that they would look into their homeowner's insurance policy in order to compensate me. Through a series of conversations, I decided that my grievance was not towards them because they were not exhibiting negligence in this situation.
Oh, no, I don't believe that, Mr. Kwan. Be very careful about what you say to me, sir. As between homeowners who have insurance and this young woman who has to walk dogs for a living, if I was somebody interested in $17,000, I wouldn't sue her. I would sue somebody who had, Kathy Bates said in one of my favorites, and you decided not to proceed against the dog's owners is what?
The reason why I proceeded not to go against the dog's owners is because I have because some things are more important than money. And in this situation, I have more of an issue with the dog walker and her behavior during this situation rather than being compensated.
Well, let me suggest this to you, Mr. Kwan. There is no question that if Miss Lancaster was walking this dog and the dog was off leash, she was negligent. There's also no question in my mind that the extent of your damages is excessive. Very excessive. So.
But we're only counting physical damages.
Just a second. What I'm telling you is the amount of your damages is excessive. And if you wanted anywhere near that money, you could have sued both people. You could have sued the owner of the dog, as not only did they have the dog that attacked you, but they have, as Kathy Bates would say, insurance. And you would join the defendant as a party to that action. You would say you're all responsible. You own the dog, which you say was a pit bull, which you say was a pit bull, who just mauled and killed somebody in New York last week. An owner. You didn't do that, so I'm not getting all of this kumbaya business that the person responsible. Do you understand?
Yeah,
I'm just not buying it, Mr. Kwan. We understand each other?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. For somebody who has no medical, you had injuries, and you have to be compensated. You had no good excuse for walking the dog off leash.
I wasn't walking him off leash. When I was in the house happened, I had a key on the other side of the door. When I reached for that key, he scooted as hard as I could between my legs and got out. It wasn't that I was walking him and just decided to take him off the leash.
So you were negligent in letting the dog out?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the dog had also been out for an hour.
Very emotional.
No.
Okay.
Now, Miss Lancaster, let's get it together. Let's get it together. Mr. Kwan says that the dog was out for a period of time, and you weren't chasing the dog when he first saw you. You were in a walking mode. So the dog may have initially gotten out. Miss Lancaster, I'm an ecumenical abuser. Were you out with the dog for a period of time?
Yes.
Did you have a leash in your hand?
I think
is not an answer. Did you have a leash in your hand?
No.
How long were you out with the dog?
Probably around an hour at that point.
Okay.
I was trying to get him back in, and twice I did have him by the collar, and wasn't having it.
You didn't have him by the collar when he ran across the street?
No, but before then I did.
I don't care, but what happened before then?
Okay.
Before then, I was 21 years old, and I looked great in a bikini. Now, not so much. All right, Mr. Kwan, this letter was written to Miss Lancaster.
Correct.
I asked you for the letter that you wrote to the owners of the dog.
I do not have that with me right now.
Could we key up this video that I understand we have?
I'm so sorry.
You can see my mother and infant
so
son fleeing.
I am so sorry.
Call the person out. He bit me.
I know I will because he bit me too. I know.
Just grab him by the neck.
I can't. He bit me twice on my hand already. I don't know what to do. It's been an hour. I seriously don't know what to do. He bit me twice already. And I tried to get him on the leash, and he bit me twice. I don't know what to do. I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
Can I see the beginning of that and see if you can freeze frame on the dog, please? By the way, you do have a leash in your hand.
Yeah, I just realized. Yeah, I do have the leash actually. So
I'm going to walk over to the.
So although the statute uses the word owner, there's vicarious liability if someone else assumed responsibility of the dog, even though the statute is clear, it only lists the word owner. But in California, they could be held liable through vicarious liability, a walker.
A walker.
That assumed responsibility for the animal.
Okay. He neither suffered serious physical injury, certainly not serious enough for him not to go to work for a week, unless you model Bermuda shorts. You don't model Bermuda shorts, do you, Mr. Kwan?
Just in my spare time.
Of course not.
Derek Kwan says dog walker Danielle Lancaster owes for damages after he was attacked by the dog Danielle was walking.
So, Miss Lancaster, it does appear to me that you were sort of overwhelmed by this dog.
yes,
But
very much.
bottom line is that Mr. Kwan was injured and frightened, not seriously injured, but seriously enough that if it were me, I would be furious as a result of your negligence. And he neither suffered serious physical injury, certainly not serious enough for him not to go to work for a week. I don't know what kind of work you do, but not serious enough unless you, unless you model Bermuda shorts. You don't model Bermuda shorts, do you, Mr. Kwan?
Just in my spare time.
Of course not. And you had no medical bills because you didn't see a doctor. But you were attacked. And I actually don't know why you didn't sue the owners of this dog. Questions will not insure you in a homeowner's policy if you have a certain kind of dog. Are you familiar with that, sir?
Yes.
What are you familiar with? You're very familiar with statutes. So what is the law in California with regard to insurance? Can you be denied insurance or have to pay an excess premium if you have a dog that is either a pit bull or a pit bull mix?
I believe so.
You believe so. And would it be a fair statement, sir, that their homeowners either covered their dog or didn't?
They were looking into it, and they had renter's insurance that I believe covered it.
That you believe covered it? Oh, very foolish of you not to go against them. Okay. If you accept responsibility for a dog, you're supposed to be smart enough to look at a dog and say, you know what, why would you ask what kind of dog this is? Now, you let the dog out, and the dog was out with you for an hour.
Yes, yeah.
And during that time, you were walking around the neighborhood, and you had sufficient opportunity. You were walking around the neighborhood.
I wouldn't say walking. I was
were you doing?
Clearly trying to get the dog back in, and twice I did have him by the collar, and that's what I said in the video. I had him by the collar, and then both times he turned to nip at me on my wrist, so which is why I let go, because I didn't want to get bit.
I know, you said it.
So I was trying to have him follow me, which is what the owners told me to do. I had treats in my hand.
So you called the owners?
Yes, I did call the...
You said you called the owners, and you told the owners what was going on?
Yes, I did. They knew what was going on.
I would have sued the owners. Mr. Kwan, I would have absolutely sued the owners. unless they didn't have insurance that covered the dog, which is a problem for them if they had renter's insurance. In any event, Miss Lancaster, you assumed responsibility of this dog, and based upon your own negligence, forget about the dog's breed, forget about these other people. As a result of your negligence, he was injured, and you have to compensate him for that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. We're finished.
Court is adjourned.
I don't think he even got bit.
The doctor said that most of my injuries were emotional, but I did receive a bite from the dog onto my arm, but not a puncture wound.
I think he just, wanted some extra cash from me because I was probably...
I understand that, but the dog was off leash for an hour. She could have called the police or animal control during that time.
Don't open the door even in the slightest to a dog. Just wait till, they're away and gone.
Mostly my MO is getting back at those that I have grievances against.
Let's not even get started with dog breed, because I think the world knows where I live in that street. Mm-hmm. And 10 days ago, a woman who was watching a pit bull for one of her children, 64-year-old woman, her husband came home from work and found the dog eating her in the backyard. Sadly, she died. And there are certain breeds that are more dangerous than others. People have to recognize that. And if you choose to get a dog that is potentially more dangerous, and I know that there are pit bull lovers out there and say, mine is the sweetest, mine is the loveliest, but then you have to accept responsibility if there's an issue. And clearly this dog was an issue because I believe this young woman. Mm-hmm. Didn't you believe her?
I believed her, and I think that dog walkers should also be cautious of what animals they're choosing to walk, because she could be held vicariously liable. So you might want to stick to 5-pound chihuahuas from now on, maybe.
Right. I mean, she was visibly very upset. Visibly. And she said on the video, he bit me twice on the hand because she tried to get a hold of him. But she was still out with the dog for an hour. But he was, in fact, injured. Mm-hmm. And whether he went to the hospital or not, that's pretty traumatic.
Yeah. I don't think you can level it down to actual damages from a bill, but there's some component of punitive damages as well for the pain and suffering